Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things through a common sense lens. And well, it looks like the Harry Potter actors are divided for the new HBO Max series out there coming from Warner Brothers Discovery, ladies and gentlemen, because if you hadn't heard, there was a giant ruling over there in the United Kingdom that essentially defined biology as biology and that men are men and women are women, and that's where access to all of these kind of special places like the bathrooms and the locker rooms, that'll all be. Well, if anybody out there know, obviously JK Rowling has been very much pushing an activist for this kind of stuff going forward, trying to get gender roles back to the traditional idea of it. And obviously she took a major victory lap over there when the ruling came out. And well, needless to say, boys and girls, some fans out there of John Lithgow are not happy about this. They absolutely blasted him on social media for continuing to work in this project. And now the black race swap Snape, Paapa Essiedu, is also coming out against JK Rowling as well. How will this bode well for the future of the Harry Potter source? I have no idea. Will Paapa Essiedu listen to all the fans out there and quit the role and disavow everything to do with JK Rowling? Probably not, but let's find out, ladies and gentlemen, because as you can see over here from Fandom Pulse, John Lithgow rejects LGBTQ plus activist rage for taking on the role of Dumbledore in the Harry Potter series. And then, as you can see over here from the other article, Harry Potter actor Paapa Essiedu, Haley Atwell, Bella Ramsey, and more push transgender ideology in a response to a UK Supreme Court ruling. So we literally have a literal battle going on already between the actor cast to play Dumbledore and the actor cast to play Snape. Ladies and gentlemen, they literally already have them on the opposite sides of a particular political topic, and the movie or the television show hasn't even got started. The irony of that, from art imitating life and life imitating art, is not lost on me in any way, shape, or form. So of course we're going to go over here and check out John Lithgow's obvious response to all of this pushback, proving once again why he is an absolute legend, and a lot of the new generation of these actors and activists out there are literally nothing more than that. They're possessed by the spirit of the age and put their own activism above any good quality content coming out there. So we're going to check out all these articles, getting all of the juicy details, and see exactly what some of everybody out there has been saying. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 1,800. We're sailing our way towards 1,900, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, if it's a comment in the section down below, does it surprise you at all that John Lithgow is just being an absolute professional boss out there and completely and totally rejecting all of this nonsense? Does it surprise you that the race swap version of Snape out there is completely and totally supporting the crazy agenda out there? Let us think about that in the comment section down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description down below and think about becoming a member, where you'll get your name at the end credits of every single one of these videos, as well as our live streams. So, all right, from John F. Trent over at Fandom Pulse. Actor John Lithgow shared that despite LGBTQ plus activists rage at him for taking on the role of Dumbledore in HBO's upcoming Harry Potter series, he will still play the character. Lithgow confirmed that he was going to play the role of Dumbledore back in March, telling Screen Rant, "Some wonderful people are turning their attention back to Harry Potter. That's why I've made such a hard decision. I'll be about 87 years old." Obviously, we covered all of that quite a lot. A month later, HBO officially announced that with the press release of all of the other actors out there, which a lot of people are really excited about. Most of these, obviously a big problem of a race swapping Snape because of all of the kind of literal insinuations that it will give as far as the relationship between him and Harry's parents, especially his dad. So yeah, needless to say, since then LGBTQ activists have been campaigning to get him to step away from the role because of JK Rowling's political positions against transgender activists in the United Kingdom. On his most recent Instagram post that he shared back in March, Mark Ruffalo wrote, "You're ruining your legacy by doing this Potter garbage. After being in GARP and Love is Strange, you'd think you know better. Shame," which those were LGBT activist kind of nonsense movies or television shows. I don't know. I'd never heard about them before this article, and you probably never have either. "Mr. Lithgow, I've been a huge fan of yours for years, over the years, and even remember that time you portrayed a trans woman in The World According to GARP. I'm begging you, take a stand now, especially in the light of the UK Supreme Court decision to step down from the new Harry Potter JK Rowling project. Furthermore, I do hope you encourage the rest of the cast to do the same." Does that include Snape? No amount of money or franchise esteem is worth the cost of trans lives. Thank you for your consideration, and I hope you do the right thing. Oh, because that's what it is. You've got to be on the right side of history with these people. And there's a bunch of other comments over here. We don't need to read through all of them, but obviously, like I said, this has clearly divided a bunch of little activists. They've come out in droves, but hey, guess what? How well did all of those activists trying to cancel Hogwarts Legacy do? No, not very well at all, because that ended up becoming the #1 selling game of the year. So needless to say, these screaming heads out there are nothing more than that, and apparently John Lithgow recognizes that. Lithgow addressed these activists while speaking with the Times UK. First, he shared that he was not expecting these activists to try and shame him into leaving the role. He said, "No, absolutely not. Of course, it was a big decision because it's probably the last major role I'll play. It's an 8-year commitment, so I was just thinking about the mortality, and that this is a very good winding down role. I thought, why is this a factor at all? I wonder how JK Rowling has absorbed it. I suppose at a certain point I'll meet her, and I'm curious to talk to her about it." He then made it clear the criticisms that had not deterred him from taking on the role. Oh, heavens, no. So John's like, no. Just a bunch of screaming people on the internet. I'm not going to pay attention to them. I'm just going to completely and totally ignore it. This is an iconic landmark role for me to be able to go out there and play. That he knows how much this franchise means to so many people around the world out there. And guess what? The other side of the cast, our dear sweet race-swapped Snape, Paapa Essiedu out there. On the other hand, Harry Potter actor Paapa Essiedu, Haley Atwell, Bella Ramsey, and more pushed transgender ideology in a response to the UK Supreme Court. So I wonder if this is going to make for any awkward conversations out there on the set when these two get together for the first time. Because guess what? If they even come close to making it accurate to the events that happen inside of the Harry Potter universe, there will be a lot of on-screen time with both of them out there. Needless to say, this could be a little awkward. But hey, how many of Paapa Essiedu's fans out there are calling for him to quit this? If you really believe in this because you signed your name off to it there, sir, maybe you should put your money and your prestige where your mouth is and quit the show. Methinks he won't, because this guy ain't had nothing major up until this. So needless to say, yeah. A number of actors, including Paapa Essiedu, who was recently announced to play Severus Snape in Harry Potter's HBO series, as well as Bella Ramsey, signed a letter pushing transgender ideology in response to the United Kingdom Supreme Court recognizing that sex is binary. The UK Supreme Court ruled in the favor of 4 Women Scotland earlier this month, and its ruling that declared the definition of sex in the EA 2010 makes it clear that the concept of sex is binary. A person is either a woman or a man. Persons who share that protected characteristic for the purpose of group-based rights and protections are persons of the same sex, and provisions that refer to protection for women necessarily exclude men. That's right, women and men's locker rooms and bathrooms should be separate. That's why places installed family bathrooms now. Although the word biological does not appear in this definition, the ordinary meaning of those plain and unambiguous words corresponds with the biological characteristics that make an individual a man or a woman. These are assumed to be self-explanatory and to require no further explanation. Men and women are the face of the definition, only differentiated as a grouping by the biology they share with the group. Essentially saying these truths should be self-evident, that this should be really obvious to anybody with half a brain that can look out there. But of course, the activist PC cult possessed by the spirit of the age nut jobs out there are anything but logical. In a response to this ruling, a number of actors have signed a letter to push gender ideology. According to Deadline, the letter was started by Motives Pictures producer Sid Strickland and script editor Jack Casey. It's been signed in the aforementioned Paapa Essiedu and Bella Ramsey, as well as Bridgerton's Nicola Collin, color of shock there, The Iron Claw Harris Dickinson, and Loki director Keith Heron, and 400 other individuals. Probably a bunch of people that you probably wouldn't even recognize their names unless you went through the entire list. I don't even know, not even bother worth it. But here was what the letter states. Here's what all the activists demand. Absolutely demanding out there. We, the undersigned film and television professionals, stand in solidarity with the trans, non-binary, and intersex communities who have been impacted by the Supreme Court ruling on April 17th. We wish to add our voices to the 2,000-plus signatories of the open letter from the UK writers to the trans community published last week and call upon the members of our industry and cultural bodies to join us. The Supreme Court's ruling that under the Equality Act, a woman is defined by a biological states that the concept of sex is binary, a person is either a woman or a man. We believe that ruling undermines the lived reality That's right. Not actual reality, their lived reality, as in although how they perceive the world around them, right? It's their truth, not the truth, which is what the Supreme Court ruling was. No, it's their truth, boys and girls, and threatens the safety of trans, non-binary, intersex people living in the UK. Oh, that's right. Just like Eternals saved trans lives and all of that other kind of stuff, this is going to hurt them. Okay, I think I'd be a little bit more worried about what's going on in London as to be an actual threat to any of these people out there, because needless to say, the people in the hijabs aren't big fans of all of that kind of nonsense. So yeah. The Equality and Human Rights Commission interim update on the ruling states that trans women are not permitted access to women's facilities, and trans men are not permitted to men's facilities. On why they shouldn't be. They should not be. While further suggesting that trans people may also be excluded from using facilities that correspond to their biological sex. With its guidance exposes trans people to embarrassment and harassment and excludes them from participations in their public life. Oh, whine. Finally, it concludes it noting the plan to propagandize the people with gender ideology through film and television. Oh, you mean exactly what Hollywood's been doing for, I don't know, the last 10 or 15 years, boys and girls? I mean, seriously? Film and television are powerful tools for empathy and education, and we believe passionately in the ability of the screen to change hearts and minds. This is our opportunity to be on the right side of history. See, there you go, Papa. You could quit the Harry Potter series and go join one of their financially disastrous trans allegory movies. You could totally do something like that, then instead of supporting the bigoted JK Rowling, the Harry Potter creator out there, by being in this. No, Paapa Essiedu, you signed your name to this letter. You should put your money where your mouth is and quit the series over the whole JK Rowling situation. But you know, they won't, because as usual, for 99% of all of these quote-unquote elites out there, all of this stuff is nothing more than a virtue signal, just like all of that kind of stuff has been forever, just like what we saw with Disney and all of their nonsense and how they would capitulate to China and the Middle East and edit all this stuff out and change their posters and everything else. They are hypocrites. That's why we call them hypocrites, because we know they're all full of crap. Papa is not going, even though he signed this letter, he is not going to in any way, shape, quit this. And John Lithgow has flat out told the trolls out there online to get bent and go step somewhere else, because I'm not going to put up with it, and I'm certainly not going to end up leaving what could be an extremely iconic role. As to whether or not this series actually gets to last the full 8 years that John Lithgow believes he is going to be attached to this, well, that's a whole matter for the ratings when this series finally does absolutely produce. But hey, Paapa Essiedu, if you really believe so strongly about this that you're willing to put your name on a public document just like our founding fathers did with the Declaration of Independence, well, all means, be a man out there, put your money where your mouth is, and quit the show and give up the role of Snape, because the last thing you want to be doing is making any money off the evil and bigoted JK Rowling. Right? Isn't that how it works with all of you activists out there, buddy boy?